Hello and welcome everyone in the YouTube land to the Season 12 Champion interview. I am the host of today's video. I am Jacob Jukabrich, the coach of the Charlotte Charizards, and today I am joined by the roster doctor himself, Chris Moriarty Marks, the coach of the Season 12 champions, the Toronto Trick Roomers. How you
Hey,
doing, Chris?
hey, that's me. I'm doing all right today. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm just excited to do this interview and get to know your feelings about season 12 and how everything went. And I'm sure a lot of the audience is feeling the same too. So
Hopefully,
hopefully,
if
yes.
you clicked on this video. But
Then, yeah, I would hope you're interested. But hey, anyway, I suppose we can kind of roll right into it. Chris, this is your first title that you have gotten since season five. It is title number three. But my question here is, how does it feel to be back on top?
it feels pretty good. Picking up two titles in the first 5 seasons and then going 6 seasons without one makes one worry a little bit that we've peaked. We've got the analytics and things that say, no, he's still a top three team. He's top three, but without the hardware to go with it, especially when players like Caleb over in West Texas Wingles boot camp are just picking up titles left and right, you kind of go, maybe I'm washed. But making it to finals last season against you and getting rolled, it was like, well, at least we still made finals. And then to pick it up here was kind of solidifying. Okay, no, we can still compete here. We're still in this.
Yeah. I mean, to me personally, I always thought you still had it. It was never really a question of if, it was always when was it going to happen again. And I mean, case in point, I may have rolled you last season, or I guess 2 seasons ago now, excuse me. But you definitely rolled me in playoffs this season. So, it all works out. But speaking of this little playoffs run, I would say it was kind of actually a really nuts playoffs run. You had between your three playoff series, you had a differential of plus 15, which is very nice, very respectable. And based on numbers like that, I would say a lot of people would say it seemed pretty easy, pretty cakewalk of a run, if you want to say that. But did you think that any point that you could just lose it all, or?
Definitely, because 14 of those 15 points came from the first 2 rounds, and only one of those came from the final. But even then, I think getting ready for the first round, it was very much like a sort of whoever shows up with the right six is going to be at a big advantage. And I think I showed up with the right six, and I was, bulked out in ways that I hadn't been for the entire season or ever before on some of the Pokemon, which I think really just gave me a big upper hand there, and let me get off to a good start. And then in the second round, it was kind of just, if the few things that I'm particularly worried about don't show up, we're kind of gonna roll here. But if Caleb can make the right reads and bring the right Pokemon, it's going to turn into a lot closer of a series, and we kind of just got away with the big problems not showing up. But the final was a nightmare and a half. Game 2 was so bad for us that I was ready to use my opponent of cheating. You can go watch the VOD. Yeah, Parker was playing out of his mind. The Memphis Machamps have come a long way, and those double bears, the Ursaluna and the Urshifu, were monstrous problems to deal with.
Oh yeah.
So definitely throughout the entirety of the finals, definitely thought I could lose it when finals was decided by a clutch life dew off of a Clefairy. It was close.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that alone speaks volumes, but I mean, you were able to clutch it out. You are the champion. Special shout outs to the Memphis Machamps, though, like you were saying. Double bear combo, always a menace, but they also piloted it extremely well. Very special kudos to them.
And used
But
Regice.
right? Like,
That was crazy.
yeah, 200 special defense. Who thinks about that? But anyway, you know, um, I I guess maybe it's a little biased because it was the matchup against me, but you did say that you kind of in round one you had bulked out your Pokemon in a way that you didn't necessarily do before, and kind of I guess exploiting your draft in a unique way, putting a little bit of a unique spin on it there. Um, and I guess that kind of says a lot about how your draft functioned and how many various styles that it could do, various things that it could do. So I guess out of all that, my question here is how confident did you feel about your roster walking away from draft night?
It's become a bit of a strange trend that I try not to get attached to, but I feel like I usually walk away on draft night the person that got the most of the stuff that was on their board. Part of that being some people still don't make draft boards, which is a bit silly. But yeah, we got most of the stuff that we wanted. There were some big question marks like what does a Smeargle actually do, with the like pick your 30 moves restriction and it being a tier 2 slot, and
Yeah.
it played in week 1. It got a win, but it felt awkward and we had to fix that. But it was really the only thing on draft night that was like a question mark. Everything else felt pretty good. We had a pretty solid game plan. We had a lot of different modes, and I thought we had the tools to beat the people that we needed to beat. Um, and we
Yeah.
still had to do some free agency, but we did turn out to have the tools when we needed them.
Okay. That is very fair. Actually, I'm really glad that you brought up the free agency there because another question here is you free agencyed three Pokemon, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was the Dragapult that you brought in for the T-Tar switch that was in a big blockbuster move where you traded the T-Tar for the Hippopotas and you moved around a tier 4 and a tier 1 and anyway, um the Dragapult, excuse me, I thought turned out to be one of your strongest and most versatile Pokemon, and it really came out clutch in the latter half of the season, kind of in playoffs a little bit. And I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts and feelings on Dragapult and kind of how it functions, not in the Dynamax era.
Yeah, so Dragapult's tricky, but ultimately the whole idea behind dropping the T-Tar for Dragapult was we knew we could go get the sand out of tier 4 and get a comfort pick, Hippopotas,
Hmm.
something that's been used before in Toronto. And just a piece that I know I'm going to be able to use. The T-Tar was
Sure.
doing well, but it felt like I needed to be using it more offensively than I was to really get its price tag out of it, and I kind of just wanted a special attacker that wasn't a water type. Um, but I had a lot of things
Fair.
on the team like the Chin Pao that really enable me to just go heavy physical attackers.
Hmm.
And so Dragapult kind of built this nice branch where obviously it kind of wants to go physical, but I can use it special. Um,
Yeah.
and it can be bulky, it can do some supportive stuff. And so overall, just, yeah, I mean, a really versatile Mon. And I think we got to show off a little bit of just that comfort that we have with the Pokemon. I think it definitely misses the Dynamax era, but it is tricky to use but alive and well here in Scarlet and Violet.
Okay. Okay. I guess a little side question to throw at you here. Do you think that terrestrialization is a decent mechanic for it?
I think it definitely helps, right? I
Okay.
think we definitely saw you can do some really gnarly, weird things with it, just given the span of its moves, like we saw in week, I want to say 9 versus Nashville with the Terra Psychic Fangs.
Yeah.
After the one Dragon Dance being a guaranteed way to KO an Iron Hands that no one in their right mind is going to anticipate.
Yep.
Um, because who goes Terra Psychic Fangs Dragapult? So I think if you were ready to be creative and offensive with it, it can be good that way. Also just Terra Dragon Darts hurts, but also being able to defensively
True.
Terra like we did in playoffs with it is a really impactful tool as well. I think it plays very nicely into the terrestrialization mechanic,
Okay.
sort of like it did with the Dynamax mechanic.
All right. All right. So Sounds like a pretty good fit. And I mean, like you said, it goes back to that comfort that we kind of harp on. It feels like every season. I mean, we all love seeing the versatility and the different wacky mons coming out. But I mean, I guess in these champion interviews, it always just comes back down to we love our comfort.
Yep.
So
Those staple picks, baby.
those staple picks, yep. Maybe I should pick up Cinderace again. But
New season
speaking
coming.
of, eh, maybe speaking of some staple picks though, and a mon that has just recently been announced to be under a franchise tag,
Mm-hmm.
the little ice weasel, Chien Pao,
Oh,
one of
this.
your favorites, I've heard.
Yeah, the saber cat weasel. I do love that one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now that you have gotten to have it for at least one season, did you think that it would be as fun of a Pokemon as you had initially thought before drafting it?
I don't know if fun's the right word. It's actually like a weirdly hard thing to use effectively in draft league. You're dropping your own defense as well, which is always a big risk. And we had lots of fast mons that could take advantage of the ability, but really the Chin Pao was. I like the Pokemon. It's just one of those ones that you like, regardless of whether or not it's good. For me, and as a takeaway from all these Urshifu spammers, nobody wants to deal with that. The whole league's welcome. And it paired well with some of the Pokemon and some of the things that we had going on, like the Excadrill, the Ogerpon Hearthflame, who is also still franchise tagged. Um,
Sure.
First ever purchased franchise tag moment.
Thank
But
you. Additional rules.
yup, but it's kind of fun to use. It's a bit of a headache because it doesn't do a whole lot of unique things. You kind of know what it's going to do, and so does your opponent.
That's
So
true.
it's kind of hard to use in that way. But you gotta respect that Chin Pao is just gonna show up on the field and it could have Choice Band Sucker Punch and you're gonna get whatever damage you're gonna get off, but it's gonna hurt to do it.
Yep.
I think that buys you a lot of freedom and it makes some of those damage rolls get over the hurdles that they need to for some of your other Pokemon. So I think it's fun in that way, but using it is a bit more of a headache than it is fun, I would argue, in Draft League
Okay.
specifically.
I can definitely understand that. As somebody who has, I've used the special counterpart in Chi, so
Mm-hmm.
I do understand that everybody is going to be ready for it. But I mean, if you build the team effectively around it and you can utilize either the pressure or the abilities effect very effectively, or both, in your case, then yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to end up in a winning formula as it has for apparently 2 seasons now, which is kind of crazy.
Ruination
Um,
Pokemon go crazy. R.I.P. to Ting Lu though.
they do. Oh well, I mean, we didn't have to go there, but we sure did. So anyway, um, let's let's make it a little more brighter here. I I know personally who I would pick, but out of all of your, I guess, can you do not on the roster Pokemon? Can you do previously free agency Pokemon for an MVP?
I mean, I guess you could. I don't know why you would if you
Okay,
didn't even
well,
keep it though. But
then out of the 16 Pokemon that you've had this season, who was your MVP on this roster?
oh, that's tough. Um, wow, that's hard actually. Uh, I mean, early season, it's not arguable. It was Greninja, right? Greninja
Showed up
was
massive.
yeah, single-handedly picking up some series there
Oh yeah.
while we were trying to figure out the offense and while we were floundering around with the T-Tar Excadrill angle. Um, but, a lot of people are going to argue Malamar. I think Malamar was just the product of convenience. We were doing a lot of good stuff around the Malamar that made it hard to stop that and the Malamar, and people usually chose to stop the other stuff. Um, you could argue Dragapult. You could say Walking Wake. I mean, I think I would choose either Greninja or Walking Wake, and I think I lean towards Walking Wake. Going into playoffs, it had by a mile the highest win percentage in the league of Pokemon not named Malamar, who had been used far more scarcely than the Walking Wake had. It was like 9-1 or something, and the one game it lost was in week 1 versus somebody. And it did a lot of great stuff for us, and the special attacking was very much necessary with how much we were threatening to do physical stuff. Having somebody that can punish that physical investment was a big deal. So I think, despite it not catching the franchise tag, I think Walking Awake probably would be my MVP of the season. But shouts out to Greninja, Malamar, Elamise, and Clefairy. I think all of them were super critical to our success.
I would definitely agree, and I think all I have to say on the matter is uninhibit the rivet.
Yeah, uninhibit the rivet. Don't you forget it.
I find it very hard to forget what you have just said, and I think with that, let's move on to some divisional talk. How does that sound? Yeah, good.
Sure,
yeah?
Sure.
Alrighty, cool. So, starting it off with a little bit of a crazy question here, maybe controversial question, who knows? If you had the choice, would you pick this division that had just occurred again?
Hell no. Why? Who would do this in the first place? Stares at Caleb. For people that don't know or understand the question, going into every season, we normally have somebody chooses the divisions. That's a thing that you get based on where you placed. And this person chose the current champion and then the 3 teams with multiple championships. There are only 3 of us, and put all of that in one division.
Yeah.
No, I don't want that. No, thank you. I don't think there are easy opponents, but I don't want that division for sure. Give me somebody that's got a little less clutch experience than that at least. Every game was horrifying. And then we got washed by the other division, which is the hilarious part.
Yeah, I know, right? The quote-unquote group of death, turns out we just suck.
I mean, we did win.
Still won.
We won the title.
You still won, so...
I was tied for first at the end of the season. I just lost the tiebreaker.
True.
But
hey, you got the big trophies, so we take those.
And the little one. Got the division one, too.
Hey, you know what? Valid. Very few people have done that. Are you a 2-time now on doing that?
On division? That's like my 5th division, title 6.
No. Like getting division and championship in the same season.
Oh, I think that might be first. I think we started doing divisions after I got the last one.
Ah, I see. Okay.
We might not have.
Anyway, maybe a little bit of lore for everyone out there.
Yeah, go Google it. Let us know.
W&W PDL information, very famously on Google. It is page 1.
Yeah.
It is important stuff there.
Yeah. If you Google it, first result, click on that one. Make sure safe search is on.
Please make sure safe search is on. All right. Bringing it back to some questions here. We're having some good banter, but bring it back to some questions here. You had mentioned some cross-division stuff in there. So I want to know, out of both our division and the other division, who were the hardest opponents?
I really only lost games to 2 people for most of the season, so it'd probably have to be them. West Texas had our number in the regular season. Now, in our second matchup, that may or may not have been due to a little bit of trolling for fun, to try and maybe not... A little handshake of trolling. We may have been vying for a contract extension, but unfortunately someone managed to play worse than we did, so... But Caleb did win. both times we played in the regular season. And then we got our money's worth in the playoffs by just mollywopping the 3-0 with the kind of fortunate setup, and some insane paralysis hacks. It has to be pointed out that series was riddled with them. I think we would have maybe won anyway, but good lord, did I need to submit my Switch for fraud detection after that one?
Hey, I mean, you got it in that round. Parker got it in the next round.
True,
So
but
does it equal out?
maybe.
Maybe.
But that leads me to my next one. It's got to be Parker from the other division. The Bears were a nightmare, and we were trolling a little bit in week 10. Going for Fisher Hippopotas angles is maybe not arguably considered trolling, but even then, the motto was troll but try to win. So we had a silly build, but we were trying to win with it, and it felt hopeless to try and win. And I just got rolled over, and I don't know that if I had built a more serious version of those 6 Pokemon that I would have had a chance anyway. And so that kind of knocked us into gear for when we saw Memphis was meeting us in the championship. We were like 110% serious, and then practice for the finals was awful. It was bad. You were there for some of it. Borrowed you as a practice partner for some of that. It did not go well. We were having to flip all kinds of parts of the roster over, pulling hair out. That matchup was tough, and Parker showed up and executed about as much as we had feared he could. So, gotta give that worst matchup of the year.
That's fair. Games 1 and 2 were a little bit of sweat-inducing, you could say.
Probably.
A little bit rage-inducing, too.
Game 2, for sure. The most magical predictions in the world always work out.
He was going off. It was crazy.
It was crazy.
Go watch the finals. If nothing else, go watch the finals. It was a banger series.
All 5 games. Sorry, you already know who wins, but worth the watch anyway. Crazy games.
It's worth the watch of the gameplay.
Predict the one life do click in the whole series. Just try.
I mean, if you didn't already kind of spoil it before, and if these people aren't paying attention, I guess. But anyway, go watch the finals.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll link the VOD. I don't know. Probably not.
Maybe we'll do it up in the, what is it, top right corner? Is that up there?
I think that's over there. That seems like
down there
type of thing. Yeah. Somewhere
in the description down there.
It's somewhere like right there.
Yeah, it's not going to be anywhere. We're doing this for nothing.
Okay. Fun distraction for us, I guess.
All right. Okay, so to wind down just a little bit here, we've been having some great banter. We've been going on for just a little bit here. I kind of want to get some of your closing thoughts on Season 12. How did you feel overall? What was the best moment? What was the worst moment? Just give me your general thoughts here.
Best moment was obviously clutching the final. It felt like it was getting away from us, and we got very lucky in Game 4 with a very arguably silly Ursa Luna switch in. Bad read. One of the few that Parker made in the whole series. That kind of let us sneak into Game 5. And then just to have Game 5 go, clutch up, take that deep breath, and be like, I think that's checkmate. When that one hit the chest, that was probably the best. Worst moment, probably when we played Windy City, and we were very ready to punish a strategy because we thought Windy City would switch it up and try and do their more technical, strategic gameplay stuff, and nope, just showed up with the standard. My Urshifu knows Wicked Blow. You want to see it? I have an Amoongus.
El Clasico.
Yep, and clicked bad buttons. Just didn't play well. Missed every play rough. Like, just, you know, when you're not even getting the 10%, it's just a bad series. Which I
Yeah.
take nothing away from my opponent. Fred played great. He did what he had to do to win. And executed on his game plan. So
Mhm.
kudos. But that's got to be the low of the season for me. Just that it just didn't go well. I played
Yeah.
bad. It was bad. Um, but if the Parish Trap had shown up, the fully Terra Ghost team would have gone crazy. Nobody
You
stuck
were
anywhere.
you were on it for that one,
Yep. Yep.
but
Maybe
unlucky though.
maybe we'll get to run it back next season. We can play that mind game.
Hey, maybe. I guess that all kind of just depends on Fred's draft, huh?
True.
So who
We
knows? Fred, it's on you.
Yep. We do know the Urshifu's going back, so
Ah, that is very true. We get more wicked blows and more sucker punches off of that stinky bear. I wish it would take a bath. So
honestly,
stinky.
so stinky.
So stinky. So
I don't know.
stinky.
I don't know if this is a known meme. I don't know it, but
I don't think it is, but I didn't I don't like the Urshifus and they're stinky.
that's fair.
Even the water one is stinky.
Arguably more. Wet bear doesn't sound like a great scent to me.
You know what? That is probably worse than
We
wet
are
dog. So
so off topic.
yeah, it's fine. All right, all right, all right, all right. Speaking of bears, we have multiple bear users in the league, but who are you watching out for next season?
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be a bear user. Just who do you think could be the next big threat for the next season?
I think the the player that I'm maybe most excited to see what they do next season is probably Ethan with AAA. I think that's
Okay.
got the highest ceiling. Um, and having been in their draft room for spoilers for draft night, you're not going to see a whole lot of me in the first half. Um, so I've been able to sort of bounce around to people's draft boards and help them look at stuff. And AAA looks like a problem if they're getting the stuff that they want. So I'm
Mm,
excited to see Ethan try and pilot that and do stuff with that. Um, and we've got a returning player. That's exciting. But
yeah.
who am I watching out for? Like, who do I consider the biggest threat next season? I think John and Ali are probably looking to get some more titles under their belt.
Okay.
And I think with John not slapping a franchise tag on anything, I'm kind of scared of what that's going to lead to. So
Yeah.
maybe John, maybe Jacob, maybe this guy over here. I don't. Everybody's scary. We're at the point in this league where everybody's scary. I'm scared of everyone
Everybody.
all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. That is a very factual statement. Everybody is very scary. Anybody can win at any moment. It does not matter. It kind of just depends on who shows up on the day. Really, what it feels like.
Too true.
So, anyway, I guess that kind of leads us perfectly into the next question here. Um, I want you to, well, it's not really a question. Sorry. I want you to make us a bold prediction for season 13. Could it
Mm,
be AAA?
a bold prediction.
A bold prediction.
I'd like to think AAA is going to do something, but I think if I'm to make a bold prediction that I believe in with my full chest,
Hmm.
yeah, I think my my bones tell me QCQ are going to do something in the playoffs. I
Ooh.
think we've seen them have a lot of early success in seasons and then taper off. And I
Yep.
think with them coming back, having taken a break, I think Ham's coming back with a vengeance.
Mm.
I think we will see maybe some draft flutters, not flutter mains, but like
Oh.
jitters,
Okay.
draft
Okay.
jitters. Have to visit some free agency stuff, figure it out towards the end of the season, and push people in playoffs. Maybe not pick up the title, but definitely push people in playoffs and maybe make it all the way. That's my bold
Okay.
prediction.
I like it. I like the bold prediction for our returning player. I guess you could say our first returning player. Um, I Is it second?
Yeah, technically Zambia left and came back, but they didn't really come back. But they left, but they came back. That's why I like 1.5'd it. But
Okay. All right. It, anyway,
first actually returning player, sure.
yes. In my opinion, yeah. But
Yeah,
anyway, our a bold prediction for our returning player. I am also very much hoping that they do well. I think Ham is a very strong player. They can execute a game plan very well. Um, it's just, I think once they learn how to pilot a deviation from said game plan, they will become a monster.
absolutely.
So, but Chris, I don't want to hold you up anymore. We've been bantering back and forth for it looks like over 30 minutes now. So I will stop taking up all of your time here. Um, any closing remarks before we sign off?
I just want to thank you for doing such a wonderful interview, having lots of insightful, fun questions. Uh, Hopefully, you've
No.
enjoyed passing the torch. Good old season 11 champion. That's the reason you're the one doing the interview. So,
Hey,
give you
I
your
mean, it's
flowers.
always it's a little bit of a bittersweet thing, I think. But I mean, you know, it is what it is. Everybody's got to be crowned a champion, so here's what it
There
is,
you go.
next person in line. But thank you, Chris, and also thank you everybody for watching. I hope that season 13 is going to be is going to be a great time. Um, and once again, congrats on winning season 12, Chris Moriarty Marks of the Toronto Trick Rumors.
Y'all
See you
take
later,
care.
everyone.